Hello, and welcome to our first in our new series of Workshop Wednesdays. My name is Kirsten Bartles, and I have the great honor and privilege of being the Chief Academic Officer for Akadasia. Akadasia is a mission driven company whose purpose is to make teachers empowered to be more effective and impactful by providing a variety of services, including continuing professional development courses and webinars like this, where we can discuss issues that matter to you in your world to help you become a better teacher and live a better life. So, as we kick off our series, the first one tonight is Health and Wellness at Work. And it's been designed specifically to provide you with the skills and tools you need to maintain your personal well being. We have two amazing panelists. The first is Dr. Cecil Pring. She is a Vice President for Academics and Research and the Dean for the College of Nursing at the Lyceum of the University of Philippines. She has completed her postgraduate work in 2011, where she was an Academic Excellence Awardee and has had several distinguished positions in her career spanning more than 2 decades. She has also authored several research papers that focus on health, education, and the environment. Most importantly, she's a fan of good coffee and a personal friend of our CEO. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Cecil.
Hi, Kristen. Pleasure to be
Hi.
here.
Thank you
Hi,
so much for being here.
my pleasure.
Our second panelist is Jenna Lim, and she is the founder of Learn, Heal, and Power, a mental wellness advocacy based out of Singapore. But more importantly, she is the mother of one. Her own lived experiences of mental health challenges and her gratitude towards teachers synergize to become the driving force in developing a mental wellness course to support educators around the world who go above and beyond their duties to support and bring out the best in their students. Her course on mental wellness will soon be available for teachers on FREEJOO. A strong believer of pay it forward, Jenna has been involved in and received accolades for several charity campaigns across Singapore. And one more thing, she's an ex student of our CEO. So please join me in welcoming Jenna. Hi, Jenna.
Hello.
Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we wanted to kick off this series with a course on, or with a discussion on health and wellness, because I think we would all agree that mental wellness and mental health has never been as important as it is now. And while there are places that are making great strides in talking about mental wellness, there still are stigmas about mental wellness. I don't think our teachers have ever been as stressed as they are right now with the new variants of COVID. Things aren't going to change. They're not going to go back. We're still going to have all the pressures of balancing our lives in the real world and in the virtual world.
Yes,
So
that is correct.
I'm so excited to have you both to have this conversation.
Yeah. I'm excited too to have this meaningful conversation with the two of you. Looking forward.
Well, and I guess I would just start out by saying, what do you think are the most overlooked aspects of mental wellness?
Yeah.
Mm, I think I'll start. For
Please.
me, I think it's the mental aspect of wellness. I think as we've said previously, in this COVID pandemic, many of us have been so overwhelmed with our lives, and in teaching, in family, and even ourselves, we don't really have time to sit down and be with ourselves and check in with ourselves to see how we are doing. And when we do feel that, things are being overwhelmed, we are being overwhelmed, we don't really know how or where we can find that um, escape in a way. Yeah.
Well, and I think that one of the problems is, and feel free to disagree, is that our teachers and those people who are joining us today and who will watch this later on, the idea of taking the time to do something for themselves feels
Mm,
selfish.
Right. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I have to agree with Jenna, because in the academe, really, I could say that mental and emotional wellness are the dimension or the aspects that are usually neglected, especially during this time of pandemic, because we are all focused into maintaining our physical health and enhancing our stamina to fight this virus. However, we do not know that, not knowing, of course, for these young students and young faculty members and employees that we had, not knowing that this everyday stress could also brought wear and tear in our physical body until such time that their body or our body can no longer tolerate the stress, and that's when we experience all these symptoms of stress, like headache, hypertension, heart
Mm.
diseases, anxiety, and depression. So most of the time, we have to really refocus on how we can really achieve wellness, the overall wellness.
Mm.
So I assume that there are people who are watching us today, who are joining us, who are doing this, they're watching the seminar because they know that they're supposed to, but
Yes,
they feel guilty just watching this. It seems like an indulgence. So
correct.
what do you want to say to them about, because they're the most overwhelmed people? And I want to also thank all the teachers who are with us today, who will be watching this in the future. Thank you so much for all that you do. We understand how critically important you are to everyone's future. And that's why this seminar today is so incredibly important. You need to take care of you.
Mm.
So, what advice do you have for the people who think that taking care of themselves is an indulgence? It's not their priority.
I think for many of us, we are so focused on taking care of our families, our students, and even the community around us in general. I think what's important for us to remember is that you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Right.
So if you yourself you're not taking care of yourself, and you yourself are already overwhelmed and burdened and stressed out, then it's even harder for you to kind of be there for someone else. And just like what Dr. Cecile has said previously, your mental health and your physical health are actually correlated. So if you are too mentally burdened, I would say, it will show up as physical symptoms sooner or later. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that is correct. And self-care is very important. And as
Mm.
mentioned, if you do not take care of yourself, how will you be able to take care of others? Especially for our teachers. I know they are exhausted from this online learning, but you have to take a rest. You have to take care of yourself, because your students are looking up to you. They are expecting so much from you, and they are looking for you, for strength and for guidance. So you must have that strength. I know I read that, talking about commitment and of course passion for teaching, but it will all come out if you have a healthy mind and a healthy body, so you can share the best that you have within you.
Mm.
Okay, well, I want to continue on that thread for a minute because one thing a lot of us do is we make ourselves feel guilty.
Right.
Before this started, I ran downstairs and because I'm doing this from my home. Greetings from Holland, Michigan. So I'm halfway around the world, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
I ran downstairs to warm up some tea, and I went to bed before my husband because it's 2 o'clock in the morning for me right
Mhm.
now, and my kitchen is a mess. And there's that pang of guilt. I went to bed so I could be awake and do this well, but I didn't take care of my kitchen. That's my responsibility. And I know that I'm not alone by thinking that we have to do it all. So, what message, how do we convey that it's okay to have a dirty kitchen? It's okay to let some of these things go. How do we get people to prioritize their mental well being?
Yeah.
What advice do you have for someone like that? who isn't going to
Yeah,
take care of themselves
yeah,
because they're too busy doing everything else.
yeah. First of all, you shouldn't feel guilty for not for neglecting to do other things, and focusing or giving more time to yourselves because in case if you because if you will try to do everything by yourself, not asking help from others, you're trying to push yourself to the limit. Then at the end, there will come a time that you will not be able to function at all, physically,
Mm.
mentally, and emotionally. So why feel guilty? You do what you can do to the best of your ability that you have right now, and then some things can wait, right? Especially dirty kitchens and dirty homes. They can wait. But what is important is you are healthy, you are well together with your family.
Mm. And I think to add on, I think um, just take it one step at a time. Because you don't need to say that, oh, I want to take care of myself. I'm going to go, all out from 0 to 100. Or I do. You wouldn't have to say that, I want to do everything right here, right now. So you can actually take very small steps, even if it's just, okay, let me take a 5-minute toilet break. Because I think I've seen teachers who they even feel guilty for taking a toilet break in between their classes, and they don't feel okay to leave their class even if they are very urgent to go to the washroom. So I think it's just little steps like that work towards getting there. Yeah.
It is interesting though because our teachers, and I think we all are trying to get everyone to hear this. You need to take care of yourself. Don't feel bad because you need 5 minutes. It's funny because there's this idea of my guilty pleasure. My one of my friends who is a physical education teacher. She talks about her guilty pleasure is watching a particular television show for 20 minutes once a week.
Mm.
How is that a guilty pleasure? How is that not something that you just get to do to relax, to de-stress, to enjoy? Now, it's a rubbish TV show, and I laughed at her for watching it, but that's because we do that to each other all the time.
Mm.
So I have another question that I know you've done some wonderful things, both of you, and we've all found new ways of being in the midst of the pandemic. How have you used this time to improve your own mental health and wellness?
Right. Jenna, would you like me to answer first?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
I think for me, I've just taken the time to pause, to slow down a little. And to be honest, I feel that I am very blessed and fortunate to be able to do so in the first place, because I know that there are so many people who are desperately in need of a break, and they can't just say, let me take a break now. And I think I've been able to take the time out to really think about what I want to do. And as a result of that, I've also found out about just what teachers have been dealing with during this pandemic. And I just felt so compelled to help, because I mean, I have a son, and I've seen how his teachers have kind of um helped him, progress throughout his development. And even for myself, like the teachers that I've had before, they have all been so impactful in my life. So, to hear that in this pandemic everyone is so stressed out and overwhelmed, it's heartbreaking lah.
Right, right. So, well, for me, basically, this pandemic changed my perspective in life, and I know everyone else.
Mm.
And aside from realizing how important it is to have to be physically fit, it is also important to be uh, mentally and emotionally well. And I really find it a good, a big help for to do physical activities during this
Mm.
online world. I'm just fortunate that I live in a place wherein I can go, I can do short walk every day around
Mm.
the vicinity of my home, and I can actually do play some sports with my kids. And for those who are in health professions like me, because I'm a registered nurse by profession, um, maintaining health or having a good health is not only a personal but of a also a professional responsibility, because we preach healthy living, and we educate clients about health. However, I have to admit that with the kind of work that I'm doing right now, with the online education, everything's happening here and there, and of course, there's this work from home scheme. I can actually feel the mental and emotional exhaustion many times. So whenever I reach that point, I step back and have coffee. As I mentioned, have coffee with I can, disclose all these negative feelings that I am experiencing. And it works every time. And it's important that you really have someone or somebody to talk to who can give you a different perspective, most probably a positive perspective of the situation wherein you are in. And of course, someone who will cheer you up and hold your hand whenever you feel like you're giving up. So that's where your family and your friends came in. So they are a big part of how I maintain my emotional and mental well-being all this time. And of course, most importantly, I discovered a new hobby. I found a new hobby that really interests me, and it makes me excited to wake up every morning so I can look at them and take care of them, and it became my passion ever since.
So wait, what's the new hobby?
Oh, it's gardening. I collect plants.
Wonderful.
Plant babies, yeah. It really gives me joy. Honestly,
Mm.
plants, flowers, it can give you joy and satisfaction when you see them grow, when you should see them flourish and have that small tiny flower in the morning. Yeah, it really can make your day.
I agree. And being surrounded by natural beauty really, really helps. I
Agree,
w-
agree.
I want to go back because Jenna, you said something that I think we need to expand on, and I would love to hear both of your advice on this. You said this idea of one step at a time.
Mm.
And if I was going to go and start, I hurt my ankle, so I can't run right now. But if I was going to start running again tomorrow, I wouldn't run a marathon. I wouldn't go
Mm.
and do 26.2 miles. I couldn't even if I wanted to. But what's the first step? How does someone who has never really considered their mental health,
Mm.
how do they start doing that? What are some practical things they can do?
Well, there is a thing called mindfulness that you can actually develop for yourself. It's more of being present in the moment because we live in a world that is so fast paced, and we're constantly chasing deadlines, constantly chasing our classes, and planning and whatnot. We don't really have the time to really soak in that moment that we are in, and to really be mindful about, for example, how you're feeling or the things around you, to just take the moment to pause and say, okay, is there how am I feeling today? How's the weather going? And um, even things like when you're feeling maybe negative emotions like sadness, frustration, and anger, to not dismiss them and say, I don't have the time for this, or like um, just saying that it's okay. I'll just keep it suppressed inside myself, because all these things that if you don't give yourself a chance to process through them, they're gonna build up and they're gonna pent up until one day it gets so bottled up inside you that you it just explodes out, altogether. So instead of doing that, you could take the time to really think, okay, do I need a break now? If let's say I'm feeling frustrated, can I take maybe 2 minutes out to just leave that situation or leave that area where I'm feeling frustrated, and then calm myself down, and then when I'm feeling okay, then I come back. Yeah.
Right. I would just like to follow up with what she mentioned about mindfulness. Yeah, actually, in our university, we introduced a course called Big Skills, wherein we teach our student about mindfulness and being positive. So it's part of the curriculum. So this is one way of, getting our students into the right track in developing and enhancing their mental and emotional well-being. So I'm glad that Jenna mentioned that.
Well, thank you both for that. I mean, I think it's and I wanted your opinion on this. So my friend who I tease about the TV show she watched, and she teases me because I actually watched similar shows, and we'll talk about those later. Um, she was overwhelmed at work. She has an overcrowded classroom. Again,
Mm-hmm.
special needs classes. So her students have a range of abilities. And she was very, very frustrated and she needed to take a break, but she couldn't. She absolutely couldn't. And then she realized something that by expressing to her students and modeling,
Mm-hmm.
the need to take a break, the need to just breathe and relax for a moment was, demonstrating to students that these are things that need to happen so they can learn to do that. And I thought that was a wonderful thing. Is that something that you've encouraged others to do as well who are teaching?
Yeah, yeah, yes, of course. In a university, that is one of the I think measures on how the teacher deliver the online classes, role modeling, because as I mentioned a while ago, these students can pick up on how the teacher is feeling, and how the teacher is, whether the teacher is doing his best, or just giving what is necessary. So it can be felt by the students. So it is really important to be really, and even if you don't feel well, to, when you're in front of the student, everything will change, because you are now the lead actor in the play and you have to perform. So that's it. And yeah, you're correct. Role modeling is really apparent in these scenarios.
Jenna, do you have something you'd like to add?
Mm, I'm not an educator by profession, so I can't really add on much. But I would say that it does help that whenever we don't feel so good ourselves, we need to be able to be vulnerable and open to share it, with our students, with our children, because they need to know that it is okay to have these feelings, and it is okay for them to learn how to express them in a positive manner, so that if let's say they get frustrated, they get angry, they do not turn to ways such as throwing things and like venting them out on like um raging, yeah. So if we are able to show them as adults that hey, this is how I'm feeling now, I feel this too, and these are some of the ways that have helped me, do you want to help, uh, do you want to try doing this thing, so that next time if you feel the same way, at least what you can do. Yeah.
Well, I think there's so much pressure that society puts on teachers and that teachers put on themselves and that parents put on teachers. The teachers are supposed to be perfect. And
Right.
the pressure to do that and to maintain that has got to be absolutely overwhelming. And I think that our teachers need to remember that, yeah, they're amazing. They're teachers, they're incredible, but they're still human. They're not perfect.
Exactly.
So they need to forgive themselves for, for the mistakes they make. And so I've
Definitely.
got more questions for you, but I'm also going to work in some questions that from the audience that I think are really relevant. And one of them is from Lin Weiwei, and I apologize if I'm not saying that properly. It's how can they prioritize themselves when they have so much work to do? So if you've got, 28 hours of work to do in a day, how do you prioritize yourself? Any
Right.
advice?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, that is correct. Time management is essential, of course. That's very important. To manage your time and make sure that you give time for yourself as well. Because as we were discussing a while ago, there are things that can wait and there are things that needed to be prioritized. And again, I would like to emphasize that putting yourself first, you should not feel guilty if you put yourself first because you're just trying to be well so that you will be able to do more.
Mm. I agree with Dr. Cecile. And, if you are not well and let's say you try to rush through everything that you have to do, and then in the midst of, being overwhelmed and being stressed out, you perhaps make a mistake. And then, that results in you maybe having to do even more work to kind of cover up for those mistakes. And sometimes when we don't prioritize ourselves, it feels like you are suffocating yourself. And yet, you have to keep pushing on, you have to keep your engine going and going until you're gonna hit a wall, and you're probably gonna burn out someday. And yes, I think that's just something we need to do, but I know that it's difficult. It is hard to, take that first step and say that, okay, let me take this time for myself. But sometimes we just have to do the things for ourselves. Yeah.
Well, and you said it so wonderfully. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you absolutely can't. And I think that instead of feeling guilty that someone needs to recharge, they need to realize that they need to recharge. You can't give if you have nothing left to give. And speaking of a very, very giving person, I noticed that the CEO of Akadasia is now here, and I would like to ask him to please, please join us. Nilesh, can you join us and give us your insights?
Hey everybody, hi. Hello, Dr. Prang. Hi, Jenna. Hi, Kirsten. Good to see all of you here today, and thank you for joining us. Really appreciate
Hello.
your support. Yeah, so I usually join these discussions with curveballs for questions. That's my role. It's primarily to throw you guys with difficult questions. So I have one which I believe is a difficult question, but an important one. Um, Researchers have found a link between excessive screen time and suicide risk. However, online education requires students to be online for extended periods. So, how does one achieve a healthy balance here? What advice would you give to teachers on when they're designing lessons or when they're teaching? How do they maintain this balance?
Right. Okay. Yes. Actually, that has been a concern in many of the universities here in the Philippines. The screen time, the excessive time. They're doing their work in front of a computer. So for us, we have to devise approaches and strategies on how to lessen this screen time. Like for example, we combine both the synchronous and asynchronous classes in such a way that every day is not a synchronous class, and we are encouraging the use of hard copies of books for their assignments and their performance task instead of doing this on the online. And we also introduce academic break, wherein we give at least a week for every 3 months or 4 months, a week break for both faculty and students, so they can at least have a rest and from all these gadgets. And we also have Exhale Wednesday, wherein it's a whole day of no screen time, both for faculty and students. And that's where we use our hard copies, books, manuals, and everything.
I think you're muted, Neil.
Sorry, yeah. Well, I haven't had coffee. Dr. Pring hasn't sent me some good Barako coffee recently. So,
Oh, we do. Anytime soon.
well, Jenna, anything to add there?
I think when it comes to online learning, we need to kind of make it more interactive and make use of different platforms and resources available so that it doesn't feel like um, the students may have what they call Zoom fatigue these days. Like if you have lessons on and on for 3 hours of online lectures or like back to back, I think perhaps adding some interactive components like maybe a quiz or maybe some short videos that sum up everything. Yeah.
Well, I think part of that might be able to be done if teachers can actually collaborate with each other. So, if you're at a school and you're the English teacher, can you work together with the math teacher, with the physical education teacher? Can you combine some things? So instead of students having to sit for 3 hours, you're combining your lesson and you're mixing things up. So they're learning math because they have to, I don't know, run around the house and collect a certain number of things. And I don't know if that's a good idea. Again, it's like 2:30 in the morning here. I might not have the best ideas right now, or maybe I do. Um,
Well,
oh, go ahead, please, Neil.
yeah. Actually, I have another question for you. Um, where do you think, what is the parents' role in all of this? Where do you think the parents stand? Because I mean, from what I've been researching and reading, I think the common notion seems to be that a lot of parents have left it to the teachers to deal with this wellness thing. But teachers, in
Mhm.
my humble opinion, are not shrinks.
Right.
Teachers are not wellness coaches. Teachers are teachers with a very specific task. So, what do you think, in your view, is the parent's role in all of this?
Right. You know what, Neil? It became more challenging for teachers to conduct online classes because they double the students. It's both the student as well as the parents or relative living within the house. So it's quite challenging and difficult for them to to be prepared always because they know that somebody else is listening, not just their own student. Unlike in the in the face-to-face classroom. And on our part, of course, we trained our faculty members as well on how to deal with the students' physical, social, and emotional health and well-being, so that they will be able also to reach out to those students who are in need. And of course, we capacitate and enhance our counseling services, which is now online. And there are times that we also accept counseling not only from the students but also from the parents. Actually, parents really play an important role because sometimes because the students are learning or having classes within their homes, they forget that the student is actually having classes, so they tend to ask they tend to ask to they tend them to ask to do something else aside from attending the class. So if that is the case, then we are conducting meeting also with the parents. We actually have orientation at the initial at the start of the academic year, so that we can explain the situation, and we can explore on being partners in molding these students and not just the responsibility of our teachers.
So, Jenna, you're a parent, and you're son goes to a public school in Singapore, right? So, as a parent, what do you need to do at home so that your child's teachers are not troubled?
I think, like what Dr. Cecile said, it's really a partnership, and it's not, I leave it all to the teachers to teach my son everything. There are still certain things that has to be done at home, and even if it doesn't start at home, it has to be somewhat reinforced at home, so that whatever they learn, they do not forget. And um, quite honestly, I would say that a parent is a child's first teacher before they even, go to a education, no institution. They're already there to teach the kids things. So I think that, as parents, well, we or I try to do at least is to just be there to really understand what is going on in school, and helping to talk to my son about how your day is going, what if anything has happened in school, or even talking to the teachers as well, because some of his teachers are very, I would say, I'm very blessed and thankful that they are very open and really have the children's interest at heart. So they would always reach out to us and say, oh, how can we work together to really, bring out the best in our students, in the children. Yeah.
Great, thanks. Kirsten, over to you.
Thank you so much. So, we taught you brought up counseling, Dr. Cecil, and
Yeah.
in my opinion, there are still huge stigmas about the idea of going to counseling, which, if you think about it,
Yeah.
really make no sense. I mean, I'm going to call a doctor about my ankle because it's not getting better. I can't fix it on my own. And yet we put so much pressure on ourselves that if we're stressed, we should be able to handle this. Yet very few of us have ever been trained how to do it. How do we overcome that stigma? How can we encourage people to go and see a counselor when they need one?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that is um, a concern that we would like to actually really address on how we can have this mindset that if we think we can no longer handle a stress or anxiety, we have to go and ask the help of a professional. Well, personally, I do have one. I do have one a close friend of mine who is a professional psychologist, and every time I think I'm about to break out, I mean, to have breakdown or anxiety or stress, I just go to her, tell her all about it, and venting out, releasing all these emotions, and it really help. How I wish that many of us will be open to this kind of things, that it is not bad, it is not uh, you know it is actually good to really seek professional help, that if you really need to. I have also another friend who is experiencing all this anxiety and stress over time. And of course, I keep on telling her, because I can only give advice in the level of my expertise. But when it comes to really, like Jenna, the expertise of Jenna, uh, I really think she needs professional help, so that she will be able to overcome all this anxiety that she is undergoing. However, it's the mindset. I cannot actually change her mindset in believing that I'm not sick, I don't have any mental disorder, so I don't need to go into a professional help. So yeah, maybe in the long run, I think in the other, like in US, Kristen, I think you are very open on this matter, right? But
Eh,
not really. Yeah, because we have different situation here.
I think that, people are trying to be more open, but I don't necessarily think that we're there yet. I
Okay.
think that there's a certain level of society that if you're willing to say, hey, I see a therapist, some people will still look down at you like, why? What's wrong with you? Well, nothing. I want to make sure that, I'm dealing with my life the best I can. I go see my doctor for annual checkups. I go to
Yeah,
my dentist. Why wouldn't I go and check in to make sure that my mental health? But we
exactly.
still have that stigma.
Mhm.
And even if I'm okay with it, my insurance might not cover it, and my employer might look down on
Mhm.
me. And I
Mhm.
know a million years ago, and I'm sure that he would love that I'm admitting this. My son, when he was little, he had a speech, and it wasn't a big thing. There were some words he couldn't say very well, but to get the help he needed, I had to let him be classified as, in a certain
Okay.
way, disabled.
Oh,
And that was something I struggled with, that, once he's classified
mhm.
as this, is this going to be something that sticks with him? Is this going to
Right.
change the way people perceive him?
Exactly.
So, and it didn't, and that was just a momentary thing. And of course, my son got the help he needed. But when it comes to mental health, if we admit that we're stressed, if we admit that we're going to do this, and we tell other people, is this a stigma that we're going to carry with us? And I think that's a big fear for a lot of people. They may want the help, but what advice do you have for people like that?
So
Mm,
it's the society.
I think what's important for people to know is that, when we say seeing a psychologist or a counselor, people kind of have the impression that if you see a mental health professional, that means you are dealing with certain issues or mental health conditions. But it's important to know that you don't have to be diagnosed to be, seeing a psychologist or seeing a counselor. You Even if it's just everyday stress, even if you're just frustrated about something, you can still go ahead and see, professional help for your worries and your concerns and anxiety and all that.
Well, and I think that conversations like this, where we're willing to openly discuss mental wellness, hopefully it'll help, because the more we talk about it, the more people will realize it is a thing and that they need to take care of themselves. And I'm going to start introducing some of the questions from the audience because we have a lot of them. And this one, I don't think we have an answer to, but I think it's an important issue to raise. It says, I agree with the academic break for both teachers and students. However, for us in our school, we only have an academic break for students and not for teachers because the administration says that teachers are paid. And, if you think about it, that happens a lot. The students get a day off, but the teachers are supposed to stay and do a variety of trainings and other things. What advice do you have for academic leaders and for teachers about this idea that they need a break as well?
Well, Kristen, that is sad to hear because we in the academy we are taking good care of our teachers because they are our frontliners. Without them, the school will not move. um, they are the most important, actually, the most important part of any academic institution. So we have to really make sure that we take good care of them, physically, mentally, and emotionally as well. So that is why the HR department should be working hand in hand with the academics in making sure that our teachers are all right, in making sure that they will be able to deliver what are expected of them, because it's really difficult. I've been a teacher, as you mentioned, for 20 years. So, every class is a performance. You really have to prepare, and you really have to make sure also that your students learn. So if the your university is not supportive of you, then I don't want to say it, but but yeah, uh, yeah, you can only, yeah, you can only do your best if you are being taken care of.
Yeah, if I could just add in there,
Please.
um, I think I think it's important for academic leaders, regardless of whether they're university or at high schools or kindergartens, to realize, like what Dr. Pring just said, without teachers, you don't have a school. Period. Right? And word does get around when you have a bad boss, when you have a micromanager as a boss, word gets around, and eventually nobody would want to work with you in that sense. So it's very, very important to make sure that teachers have enough breaks in order to de-stress. Um, I am, I've already crossed 50, and if you put me in a room of kids, even for like 15 minutes, and the kids are all running around, I'll probably get a headache, and I'll be stressed out. So hats off to the teachers for
Exactly. Yeah.
able to do this day in, day out for a full day and even beyond. And I mean, they're pretty much like superheroes,
Correct.
and that's why it's important for academic leaders to really understand this and then build in policies which allow teachers to take breaks as and when needed. So I'll give you a great example of what we do here at Acad Asia. We are not an we don't deal with students, young students. We deal with teachers. Um, but as an education technology company, as a startup, it's a pretty hectic environment. It's pretty much as hectic as a school because everybody's doing everything and there's a million things to do yesterday, right? So you've got to complete everything by yesterday. And so as a young startup, we do have we don't have too many benefits, but we do have one very, very important component as part of our HR policies, which is unlimited number of leaves. So my staff can
Oh,
pretty much take leaves whenever they want, unlimited, um, as long as there is nothing pending in the work. So you manage your own time, you manage your own work. As long as you've finished everything that is needed, whatever your KPI is, as long as you've met that, you can take a break. And for me, as the CEO of Acadasia, and I think Kirsten will probably second this, I don't ever ask my team, "Where are you at? What are you doing? Can you, how many times, can we have like 3 meetings a day?" No, I don't care where they work from. I don't care, how many hours they work, or as long as the job gets done, nothing else is important. So
Okay,
I
that's
think,
not actually true because there was one day that I was very sick and you told me that you would not talk to me anymore because I needed to take care of myself. So you
yeah.
do care how much we work.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it is important for us to kind of look after our staff in any business, and schools is, at the end of the day, an education institution is no different from any other business. At the end of the day, you still need to serve your customers, who are, in this case, would be the students and the parents. So, it is important for you to take care of your main driver. Just like in a restaurant, you can't have a restaurant without a good chef. Similarly, you can't have a school without good teachers. Good, and might I say, happy teachers.
yes, happy and satisfied. I couldn't agree with less with you, Neil. Yeah, that's very true. How I
So,
wish we can have your ideal setup. It's output based. Maybe in the near future. Who knows?
well, I would say, the supportive environment is so incredibly important. And I don't think that we realize how much we miss a really supportive environment because we've been conditioned to just accept that this is the way things are. And it's funny because now I talk to my friends, I'm like, I've got the best boss, although I'm not supposed to call Neil my boss. I do. Just don't tell him that. Um, and this goes to a question we have from a teacher they posted. As a teacher, I sometimes feel guilty to say no to some additional work, paperwork, because they say it's the nature of our work to get overloaded. Sometimes I need a break from everything, and burnout is at my door already. Um, you can say no. Or something that I've done in the past, and you can agree or disagree with me, is if someone wants you to take on a project, if there's a project that only you can do, I often ask what they're going to take off my plate. If you're going to give me this, you have to take something in return because I only have so much time. And I know that we talked about time management again or earlier and how important it is to manage your time. But what advice do you have for this teacher who is already overburdened and feels guilty saying no?
Mm, I would say that you have to learn how to set boundaries. And I think that it is honestly quite hard, very difficult for teachers to do so because I've heard of so many teachers who bring home paperwork, bring home assignments to grade, and so on and so forth until they really eat into their time after work even. And some of them they end up spending the whole day at home just rushing through, signing grading assignments, planning for the next class and all that. I think that when you are already, when your plate is already full, you just have to learn to say no. And it's a hard thing to do. I personally struggle with that too. But um, I think like what we've been saying, we just have to put ourselves first sometimes, and you only have that big of a plate, and everyone's plate is different in size. So somebody's plate could be this big, like a whole table size. Some may be only like a small dish size, and other they may also be made of different materials. So do not assume that what you can take on is the same as what someone else can take on. So when you if you have something to give to someone else to do, always ask them first, make sure that they do have the capacity, and if they don't, find someone else to do it, or like what Dr. Kirsten has said, take something off of their plate.
It's interesting because it just occurred to me there's a part of that question that I don't think we really picked up on that is at a core a huge issue that we don't really necessarily talk about. And that was when they said that they say that it is the nature of our work to get overloaded. I mean, the idea that we just keep putting more and more stuff on our teachers and more pressure on our teachers. We're human. They're human. So this idea that I think now more than ever, I know people are scared to say, hey, I can't do everything. And maybe alone it's scary, but if you can actually get together with fellow teachers and, explain that you can't do everything.
If I could just jump in, I just saw a comment by somebody here. I think it's Trish, who says, "Yes, Jenna, but sometimes the problem could be the culture of the Filipino per se, and we do not want to offend our heads." And I think this is actually not just in the Philippines, but generally across Asia. I've seen this, that a lot of people will not want to um, upset their managers and reporting officers for whatever reasons. And and my experience tells me that a lot of it is all in the mind. A lot of the staff, the younger staff, believe that if I say no, my boss will get upset. But there might be there might be good bosses. I'm not saying all bosses are bad bosses. You might be lucky to have a director like Dr. Pring, for example. And I've known Dr. Pring for, I think, almost 5 years,
Yeah,
almost
I think
nearing
so.
5 years. And if you have a reporting officer like Dr. Pring, I'm sure she's not going to get upset just because you are overburdened.
Of course
So,
not.
so again, it's also a luck of the draw of the kind of a boss you get. Unfortunately, that is the reality. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I would like to take this opportunity to invite all the academic leaders here today to actually come on board FreeJoo and get access to a wide range of courses which allow you to actually learn how to better manage your stuff as well. If you think that you need to, you need training in that area and how to be, in fact, we have a course called Be a Likeable Boss. There is an actual course by that title. Please, do join the platform and get access to the course. And it's free. It's a free lifetime membership. So if you haven't done so already, then please do it. Yeah, thanks, Kirsten.
There's another question here that I think is pretty important, and it says, the greatest impact on my health of the pandemic is with my sleep. I'm not able to sleep continuously at night, so I work instead. This is not okay, I know, but what can I do? I don't want to waste time staring at a ceiling when I can't sleep. And I don't think this individual is alone. I think a lot of us have had issues sleeping. Yeah, I know you do, Neil. It's amazing. I'm 13 hours behind Singapore right now, and at like 3 in the afternoon my time, I'm getting a message from him like, it's the middle of the night. You should be asleep. So, what advice do you have for people who, they're not sleeping, so they start working?
If I could, I mean, I suffer from insomnia, so I shouldn't be the one advising people on how to go to sleep because I can't. But having said that, all I do know is that if you start working, you are basically looking at your screen, and the more you look at your screen, the less sleep you will get. So that is, again, it's clinically proven. I think there's a lot of research behind that as well. So you don't want to actually switch your screen on and start working. Um, I think the best thing to perhaps do is, if you can't go to sleep, then I don't know, maybe go out and run, or maybe go out for a walk, if it's safe to do that, where you are at. Um, or sometimes what I do is grab myself a hot chocolate.
Take a hot bath, read a book, not on a tablet. Um, that's your time, and maybe you're not sleeping, but that doesn't mean it should be spent working. And I know that some people right now are going, yeah, but I have all this work to do, and I'm not sleeping because I have all this work to do. You need to take care of yourself. You can't take care of others. You can't do everything. Take care of yourself. Let go the dirty kitchen.
I think if you reach a point where the work is just never ending, and I think all of us have probably reached that point at some time, or we might in the future. I think if you reach that point, it is important for you to kind of have a one-to-one with your immediate reporting officer or manager to really get them to help you and support you to kind of distribute the workload a bit more. I think that's important because a lot of the times, again, being the CEO, and I'm sure Dr. Pring will perhaps empathize with me on this, is a lot of the times we too, as leaders, have so many things on our plate that sometimes, even if we want to look after our staff, we forget to, or we might not have the time to do that ourselves. So it is always important for the staff to, in case you find that your boss is not forthcoming with help, step up and tell your boss, hey, listen, I need help. It may very well be the case that your boss um, hasn't noticed that you need help. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And I want to mention because there's some comments here that I can see too about time management. And when we say time management, please know that we also mean schedule breaks. Schedule, working out if you want to exercise or going for a walk or reading a book. And I know that may sound silly, but dedicate time on your calendar. I mean, I have a weekly meeting in my calendar to talk to my aunt because if I don't put it there on my schedule, other things will take over and it'll just be delayed and delayed and delayed. So go ahead and put on your calendar, time to go take a nap if you need to it, or go for a run, go for a walk, go out to eat, watch that rubbish TV show, read that book, do those things, put it in your calendar. Then you won't feel guilty about doing it because those are important things as well. There was another point I wanted to bring up. Oh, the last thing that we can talk about before we show you how to sign up for FreeJoo is that one of the things that's driving teachers' anxiety right now is student engagement and the fact that students are struggling to be engaged. And all the teachers I know will put this on themselves. The students aren't engaged because I'm not engaging. Not the students aren't engaged because they're sitting in front of a screen for 8 hours a day. So, how do we help teachers help students with this issue of engagement and feeling like they're failing their students?
Right. Yeah, actually, that's a big concern now that we are in online classes, students' engagement, students' participation. Our teachers are actually doing their best. We had meetings, we had trainings on different teaching and learning activities and strategies that they can employ so as to engage their students. But however, as you mentioned, Kristen, it's different when students are in front of a computer instead of facing a real teacher. And it can be that because of internet connectivity, most of the students are cameras are off, so you cannot really know whether they are still present or not. And yeah, that is correct. It's a struggle. It's a struggle for teachers really on how to engage. But we in our platform we introduce there some of the engaging activities and the learning tools on just to pick up the interest of our students. So it takes the whole department, I think, with the support of the management through trainings and availability of resources, and of course for the managers, the support that we will give their teachers so that they will be able to perform really and engage students. I think what made them more difficult is that in in many of the universities, we monitor student engagement, and that puts an extra burden on our teachers, which I think hearing this right now would it would be best to instead of the usual monitoring on how these students are doing, we should also focus on the well-being of our teachers, so that they will not feel that the leaders or the management are only focusing on customer satisfaction, but rather we care for our employees and teachers most especially.
I think we have time for one more question. And this one is, which is more practical developing? Oops, sorry, my screen decided to take my question away from me. Hold on. I can't see that question anymore, but don't you love it when computers all of a sudden decide not to work? Okay, here we go. Sorry. Which is more practical, developing mental resiliency through difficult problems or protecting mental wellness by thinking for yourself first before diving into problems?
Hmm, I would say that you will need a balance of the two. And to start off, you would probably need to start with strengthening your mind first, so that if you go into a difficult problem, you do not just say, "Oh no, what am I supposed to do now?" And then you just break apart from there. So I would say to start off with taking care of your mental wellness first, And then as you go along, take small little steps, one step at a time. Everything you do, just slowly build up on that resilience. And even if things get too hard, it's okay to say that I need to take some time off, and it's okay to say no. Like, I think that's the whole gist of what we've been doing today. One step at a time. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to really take the time off for yourself.
I think that's important advice. So now I want to let people know that. Oh, Neil, you had an announcement. I'm sorry, I was going to wrap things up, but I'm going to let you make your announcement if you'd like to, please.
Oh, sure. I just wanted to kind of share some very good news. So I was actually late today to the call, so my apologies for that. But I want to share some very exciting news. Um, so we at Acad Asia have just been selected as part of the top 50 education startups in all of Southeast Asia. So we just we basically just got that today. So I just wanted to share it with our community, and thank you everybody for your support, because for us, without the teachers, we will not be here. So thank you once again. Thank you.
And I want to thank our panelists for this incredibly important conversation today. I hope everyone found it as beneficial as I did. And I know that some of our teachers really want to make sure they get their certificate. We're doing these webinars differently now because we want to make sure you get the most that you possibly can. So to get your certificate, you need to go and do the course on FREEJOO, the Health and Wellness at Work course. So if Abby will help me, I'm going to walk you through what you need to do to be able to do that, and then we will wrap things up. So first, you need to sign in to FREEJOO. You just go to freejoo.com, FREEJOO.com, and sign in. If you have not yet signed up, you click on the Sign Up tab. And please remember that when you do that, you need to select your profession as teacher. It defaults to student, but we need you to go and change that to teacher. You also, when you do this, you'll get a verification email. Make sure you check your junk folder in case you don't get that email right away. Once you go and you sign in, you can log into FREEJOO. And if you can go to the Skill Ed tab, and that's where you see all our courses. You can go down and find, you can either search for it or you can scroll down and find the Health and Wellness at Work course. When you go through, you enroll in the course. Abby has already completed the course. That's why it says that it's completed for her. Then you go, and when you're done, you will get a certificate. Now, this is the course, the outline. It's very simple to go through and use. And when you're all done, you will get your digital credentials. So very straightforward, because we think this topic is so incredibly important. We want to continue to support you by having you do this. And then I would like to ask our panelists for their parting thoughts. Dr. Cecil, would you like to give us your parting thoughts first? I think you're muted.
All right. Self care. That's the most important thing that we have learned in this session. So take care of ourselves so we can take care of others as well, especially our loved ones. And of course, good luck to our passionate and competent teachers out there.
Jenna, how about you?
Mm, I think for me, the most important takeaway that I want everyone to know is that you can't pour from an empty cup. And I hope that through this webinar, you remember that. And to end off, I would just like to say a big thank you to all the teachers in all around the world. That whatever you're doing, I, as a parents and all teachers, academic leaders, principals, and the whole world really appreciates you. So yeah, thank you. It's not a job that anyone can do, as we've previously mentioned, it takes a special person, and I'm so thankful that we have so many amazing teachers all around the world.
Thank you so, so very much. And I'm going to ask Abby to do something that she didn't know that I was going to ask her to do. Hey, Abby, can you pull up the collab ed part of FreeJoo for a second? Because I think when we're talking about mental wellness and mental health, it's important for teachers to realize that you're not alone. You're not the only one who feels the way you do. You're not the only one who is struggling. And one of the really cool aspects of FreeJoo when you join is this community of educators. We are a global community of educators. And if you go to the right there, the Collab Ed tab, you can connect with other people. It's sort of like Facebook, but just for teachers, where you can go and you can have discussions about important issues. You can post resources, you can find resources. We're trying to create this wonderful supportive community for you because you're not supposed to go through this alone. We're here to help. There are other people who are going to help you as well. And I guess one thing that I want to say is practice the advice you give your students. When your students are overwhelmed, when your students are stressed, you tell them to take care of themselves. You tell them to prioritize. And Neil, you didn't hear us at the beginning, but when I went before this started, I went downstairs to make some tea, and my kitchen is not clean right now. And be okay with the dirty kitchen. You know, prioritize your mental health, your physical health, and your well-being first, and let some stuff go. It's okay. It's okay to say no. It's okay to take time out, and it's okay to let your students know that, you're frustrated, you're stressed, and model good behavior. I want to thank everyone who has joined us today in this incredibly important topic. Please be safe. I know that we're all tired of COVID. There's new variants. We need to wear our masks. We need to social distance. We need to get vaccines. Sorry, Neil, that's kind of political, especially in the States, because, there's a divide about vaccines. But please take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. Thank you so, so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. And after the first of the year, we're going to also launch Workshop Wednesdays, which will be on alternate weeks, which will give you practical tips on how to use different online tools and resources to be more effective online. Neil, any parting thoughts?
Nope, that's about it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your support, and stay safe.
Stay
Thank
safe,
you.
stay well. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. And I think Abby's going to play a video for us now.
Welcome to FreeJoo, the global community of educators. Are you an educator who finds it difficult to engage the Gen Z learner? Are you finding it a challenge to make full use of technology for teaching and learning? Are you of the belief that good instructional design means that we need to upload text and presentation materials, videos, and quizzes onto a learning management system? Or are you still teaching all your classes using video conferencing systems? If so, then FreeJoo is the place you should be at. FreeJoo is a community of educators by educators. Here, you can network with educators from all around the world, collaborate on projects, exchange ideas, access the best competency-based professional development courses which help you enhance your pedagogical and technical skills as a 21st century educator. Learn to use digital tools which enable you to design your lessons easily and quickly, and so much more. Join more than 100,000 educators from more than 35 countries and get access to a wide variety of competency-based professional development courses which you can complete at your own time and at your own pace. What's more, the courses are available in several different languages and come with CPD units and certificates. No matter if you teach children at a preschool or an elementary level, or at a high school or tertiary education level. Even if you are a corporate trainer training adults, we have professional development courses for you. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for early access to FREEJOO version 2 today at akadasia.com and get in queue to receive a free lifetime membership for FREEJOO. What's more, if you sign up today, you will even receive access to 10 professional development programs for free. Sign up today. Visit www.akadasia.com and join FREEJOO, the global community of educators.